Hey folks, how's it going? So I hope you guys are all doing well in these strange, weird times we're in. And I hope your loved ones are doing well. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Jay, and on this channel we do a lot of hi-fi component reviews, comparisons, and speaker reviews and stuff like that. But most importantly, music and audio is our biggest passion on this channel. So if you share the similar type of passion, then please consider subscribing and liking the video. Now, if you do like the video, it does help us out a lot, quite a bit. So please do that and I would appreciate it very much. Now, if this is not your first time here and you've seen my face around here before, then thank you for coming back. Thank you for being a supporter. Thank you for being a subscriber. Now, before I get into this video, I just want to thank Skillshare. This is the third sponsored video. They're sponsoring this video for the third time. And so, in a situation like this where I can't go to work, I'm relying on the government funds to, go about my rent and stuff like this. It is certainly a time where, people like Skillshare is really helping channels like this survive. And truth is that a lot of companies reached out to me to advertise. However, Skillshare is one of very few that I actually said okay to because it's a program that I'm used to and I know that I can recommend to my viewers without any trouble. Skillshare is a very good platform. I've been using it for the past 2 years, well before they reached out to me. And you can learn about photography, videography, which is what I do right now. And that's how I got started using Skillshare, learning about how to film and stuff like that. And I know a lot of my friends who went on to freelancing and did a full-time job with Canon just by using Skillshare and starting off with Skillshare. Now, of course, there's other stuff that I'm learning these days on Skillshare, like, music production, and there's speaker designing on Skillshare as well that I've been looking into. So if you're someone who wants to take advantage of the time we have at home right now, then I urge you to check out Skillshare and really learn stuff from Skillshare. It's a set of videos you can go through on your own pace. It's not a university course. And even better yet, Skillshare is offering my subscribers, the first 1,000 people who use the link in the description below, will get 2 months free of Skillshare Premium. So make sure to take advantage of that. So without further ado, today we are reviewing the Grande Avant from Gershman. Now, if you don't know Gershman is a company located here downtown in Canada. So I went to them because I'm located in Canada as well, and I did a studio tour, and the link to that will be in the description below. But the cool thing about them is that their listening space is right beside a studio, literally attached to a studio. And they have access to all their instruments in the world. And one thing they can do that no other company can is they can play an instrument, record it, and then place the speakers on the exact same spot and play it back. So obviously this is very advantageous when it comes to speaker designs, and I don't know a single company that has this close of a relationship between a studio and instruments with their speakers. Because even, Wilson Audio, Magnapan, all these great speaker manufacturers, they have to actually go to a hall, go to actually a place of performance, record it, come back to their listening space and play it back with their speakers, at least from my understanding. So Gershman's really have a really good place to tune and really dial down the instrumental sound in their space. So that's an advantage they have. Now, I reviewed the Studio 2, which is the bookshelf speaker that could go down well below 30 hertz. Today, we're looking at the big boys, the Avant-Garde, the Grande Avant-Garde. Now, these are a 3.5-way speaker, and these big boys have something very interesting called the BCT composite enclosure. So to explain a little bit about how this works, so if you look at the bottom of the speaker, there is a 10-pound weight that is attached to the bottom of the speaker, and then there's little holes on each side. And so this is where the bass is theoretically supposed to come out. And then you're gonna place this speaker on this platform that they have. And this platform stretches down to, you can see the hole here. And then you're gonna place the speakers. So what ends up happening is that the bass escapes into the platform and then it bounces back and forth, okay? And it dissipates. So why is this important? So in normal speaker designs, like a ported design, for example, the back wave comes and back into the actual clone of the driver. And so they're eliminating that back wave by doing this. They're dissipating it with this BCT technology, and this is patent pending currently. So there you go. That is something very cool to see in a speaker that I've never seen it before. And I think it's certainly innovative. So the tweeter is a 1-inch soft dome double chamber. And the mid-range is the 5.25-inch carbon fiber mid-range modified by Audex. And the woofer is an 8-inch double magnet aluminum woofer, custom made for Gershman. And the sensitivity is 89 dB, which is quite efficient. And then the impedance is rated at 6 ohms. So let's start with explanation of why there's a tilt with a speaker. So if you look at the speaker, the tweeter in the mid-range actually is tilted to the back a little bit compared to where the woofer's at. So that is to time align the drivers. So this time alignment allows the drivers to be perfectly aligned so that you get a coherent sound. You don't hear each of the drivers coming at you from different timing is at the same time. And this is vital because, quite frankly, we can hear the distance between here to here. I can hear the difference, and so can you. We are very sensitive to the actual space distance within our listening sessions. So that is very important, and they have that down here. The time alignment is there. Now, another thing that I should really mention is that if you look at the grill is very, very nice looking. Now, I posted a picture of these speakers on my community page the other day, and everyone was like saying how ugly they look. And I don't feel that way, and some of the people in the comment section didn't feel that way either. I think they're quite sexy looking, especially with the grills on. But I prefer the sound without the grills for sure. And that's one of the things. If you can see that I have the grills on, I take them off when I listen to them, but I can put them back on. And this is very beneficial if you have a cat or a child, because this is not like a cloth grill. It is a solid grill. It is acoustically transparent according to Gershman. And when I play them back with the grills on, I didn't hear any difference between the grills on or off, just a little bit. I preferred it with the grills off because of this psychological thing of, actually having something in front of the speakers. But other than that, it plays perfectly, and you technically can have the grills in front of the speakers if you so will. And, I take them off when I play them. But as you can see, I have them on right now because they're sexy looking. And I think the woofer is the key here because the woofer is like a subwoofer. It has a very thick surround. Now, this is a 8-inch woofer, but it's very heavy woofer. It's a double magnet woofer, and it has a very thick surround, just like a subwoofer. So technically, the speaker is supposed to go down in some rooms below 20 hertz, and that is insane. Now, given in my room, the first thing I noticed was that it does really, really deep bass. I did not need to add a second subwoofer to it at all. In fact, when I was playing this speaker, the most impressive thing is the bass. And even for movies, it is just absolutely fabulous. And I've told you guys before, I play this track called Bass I Love You by Bassotronics. And this is a fantastic track to test your bass, especially the deep, deep bass. When I play that track in this house, my God, we had like a earthquake in here, just severe earthquake. It was so impressive, and it was a physical feeling rather than sonically. It was just, my body was getting a massage. It was just incredible. And it wasn't overloading the room in any way. It was just very physical. It was like having a 4 subwoofer. It had really good dispersion. So it almost seemed like I had 4 subwoofers in this room playing perfectly and dialed down perfectly to this room. Now, when I was playing movies, and I rarely do this with most speakers, but when I was playing movies without a subwoofer, it still had that impact. It still had that grunt in the bottom end that I was just very impressed by. There are very few speakers that can go down this low and has that kind of texture, impact, that grunt in the bottom end like these speakers do. I was very impressed. Now, the Studio 2 that I reviewed, which I'll link in the description below, had really good bass, but these go down even deeper, and I don't think that was possible, but it does. And it has more texture to it, more control to it, and it has really good dispersion, and that's the first thing I noticed. It has so good dispersion that it seems like you have 4 subwoofers in the room. It is absolutely insane. And then when you come to the mid-range on the Studio 2, like I said, was a little bit recessed, recessed in comparison to this. This is a lot more forward, but still silky smooth, and the most forgiving speaker, period. In my time of hi-fi, I have never heard a more forgiving speaker. I played tracks that I could never play on other speakers. In fact, I played this track by Goatee, somebody I used to know. And this is a track that I love, that I can connect with, and I love this track so much. The lyrics are very nice, but it's just recorded just really, really unwell. And when I play it back with any of the hi-fi speakers, it just destroys, your ears. It's just so bad. But when I play with these speakers, not only was I able to listen to it, but it was actually very enjoyable. In fact, I listened to this track over and over again on these speakers because, when am I gonna ever listen to these speakers ever again after this review? But man, that was an insane experience. So the mid-range is silky smooth. You get all the details, but it is a silky smooth. Even with solid state, it is just so silky smooth. Now, when you get to the high frequency, the details are all there. The high frequency is much sweeter sounding than it did on the Studio 2s. It was just absolutely great. Now, if you're coming from a little bit more of a brighter speaker like the Vocals or even the Klipsch, and you find that those speakers are to your taste, then this speaker you may find them to be a little bit rolled off in the top end. But it's a little bit different. The high frequency, the details are all there. The separation is all there, but the brilliance, there's nothing sharp about it. And that's something about the Gershmans that I found. There's never a brilliance. There's never that sharp sound that you can get out of these speakers. They're just pure silky smooth, no brightness, but all the details are there. Now, when it comes to the soundstage and imaging, these image fantastically. Now, best speaker that I've heard that imaged really, really well was the Magicos. And these speakers image very, very close to the Magicos. I wouldn't say they're better than the Magicos in imaging, but they are very close. I mean, when was the last time I heard the Magicos? I don't know. So I can't do a side-by-side comparison with the imaging thing. But these image fantastically in this price category. In any price category, these image fantastically. The singer is right there, right in your room, right, just beautiful live performance. Now, when it comes to the soundstage is very large. It is incredibly large, and the separation within that soundstage is very nice as well. But it's not lean sounding at all. So I found that to be very, very good. The sound staging and imaging was also very on point with these speakers. So the question becomes, the price range is very similar to, let's see, the Wilson Audio Sabrina, some of the Magico speakers, B&W speakers, Vocal speakers. So where do these stand? Well, for one thing, none of the speakers that I've just mentioned can do the bass like these two. These are a clear winner in the bass region. The bass, the sheer amount of impact, in the mid bass and the extension down into the low frequency, the seamless integration of the bass with the mid range and the treble is out of this world. And so in that regard, this speaker is a clear winner in my opinion. Now, when it comes to the mid range is silky smooth. It's very preference based, but to my preference, I want to listen to tracks that I've never, that I like to enjoy, instead of audiophile recordings. So this is a perfect speaker for me when it comes to mid-range. It's silky smooth whether I play audiophile recordings or poor recordings. If you play audiophile recordings, it will reward you greatly with all that resolution and detail. But if you play poor recordings, you can still enjoy it. It makes, and I rarely say this, it makes poor recordings sound good, which is very hard to do with a speaker design. It's just impossible. To have that middle ground between making an audiophile recording sound good and then having a poor recording sound good. Just almost impossible. But somehow, this speaker does it. Now, when it comes to the high frequency, that is also very high, preference based. Now, if you're coming from something like Vocals, if you like a little bit of a brighter presentation, this speaker may not have that kind of excitement that you're looking for. And out of all the speakers that I've just mentioned, including the Wilson Audio Sabrina, this speaker is by far the most forgiving and the least sharp. It has no sharpness to it, no brilliance to it that will bother you at all. And I know you guys are gonna ask me this, because some of you know that Wilson Audio Sabrina was my dream speaker. And so you're gonna ask me, which one do you prefer? Has my dream speaker changed? And that is a very tough question to answer, but as of this moment, yes. I contacted Gershman's and I was like, these tell me the price that I must pay. Let me work my way towards that. I'll pay you little bit by little until I have these speakers in my house. So I'm going to do that. These speakers are something that I want to keep. It has become my dream speakers. And my God, the bass extension is what really got me, and that silky mid-range. Because I want to be able to listen to poor recordings, like I said, without cringing, without, going like, oh God, what am I listening to? So this speaker really does that and really connects with me in an emotional way. And so that's why I'm going to probably prefer these. Now, this is just my opinion and my preference. Your mileage may differ. So I suggest you go listen to these speakers. I will have the link to their website in the description below where you can check where you can listen to these speakers. And also, if you don't have one in the nearby area, give the Gershmans a call, send them an email. I will link it in the description below, their contact as well, and they'll be able to set you up. Now, these have really good off-axis response as well. I don't have to be sitting in the sweet spot for that imaging. In fact, the imaging is still right in the middle, even if I move around, which is quite remarkable. And I've heard that with few Sonos Faber speakers, but never like this. This was a different type of experience in that regard. It doesn't have that mid-bass bloat that I was talking about with some of these Sonos Faber speakers. And that's what I really love about these. These are going down very deep, but they're linear. They don't have that kind of mid-bass bloat or bump that I'm talking about with some of these speakers to exaggerate the bass. It doesn't need to do that because these actually go down really low, even without a subwoofer. Now, when it comes to the placement is actually very, very forgiving because technically this is kind of like a sealed design in a way. It is using the BCT technology, but there's no port. So you can place these practically anywhere, but I prefer them hitting my shoulders. I prefer the tweeter to be hitting my shoulders. However, if you prefer a little bit of a brighter sound and want that kind of excitement, then you can tilt these speakers towards you a little bit more, towards your ears, and that gives you a little bit more brilliance, a little bit more excitement on the top end. And for some people, that may be just perfect balance between something like the Wilson Audio Sabrina, if you found that sharp, or even the vocals, with something, in between. There was never something in between, but these speakers fill that gap in my opinion. Now, in terms of the components used with it, I mostly use the Hego H190. Now, the Hego H190 is very, very great, and it just sounds so powerful with that damping factor. The bass control is fantastic. Now, even though these are 89 dB in sensitivity, which means that they are, pretty on the sensitive side, and you can drive these with most components, theoretically, the Gershmans and even myself recommend something that is a little bit more powerful. And I agree with the Gershmans 100% on this, because with the more powerful amplifier, the bass really comes to life, and it's able to move those woofers 8-inch with thick surrounds to a much better extent. And the Hego H190 did that perfectly. Now, I also used this $300 something integrated amplifier from China called the Sound Artist. And so I'll link to that in the description below as well. But this drove the speakers just perfectly fine as well. And the bass was very satisfying. It had a little bit more brilliance on the top end. So again, the high frequency can be catered towards more of your taste with component and placement. And so I found that to be very, very exciting. And because, $300 something integrated amplifier play these speakers with such finesse that I just loved. And in some tracks, I definitely preferred the Sound Artist even compared to the Hego H190. So certainly a fun speaker to listen with because you can match with different components. You just gotta watch the power requirement. They recommend anything from 100 watts and above, and I prefer around 200 watts with these speakers because that's the safe zone. It really kicks ass with that kind of power. And so that's what I recommend with these speakers. Now, if there's a caveat with these speakers, if there's any, it would be the low listening level. Now, the low listening level, is great too, but for this speaker to really shine, you need to have it at around normal to high listening level. When it comes to normal listening level and high listening level, these speakers kick ass. But with low listening level, it suffers a little bit. You need to put a little bit of power into these speakers with your power amplifier for it to really shine. And so that's what I found out. And if there's any caveat, that will be the caveat. But even at low listening levels, the only thing that you're really missing is that deep bass extension. The silky mid-range and the silky high frequency is still there and is still very forgiving. And in terms of cables that I used, I'll link it in the description below of what cables I used in this review. So there you have it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.